Hi, and welcome to another episode of Piano TV. So in the last video, I kind of talked you through the Royal Conservatory of Music, the RCM, and how a grade 1 exam works through them. So I wanted to go and talk about the other major school of music, the ABRSM, the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, say that 5 times fast, and talk about how they do grade 1 and how that works and everything. So the ABRSM is London-based, and it's available in 90 plus countries, which is the major benefit it has over the RCM, because if you're not located in the UK or the USA or Canada, it's pretty much impossible to do a Royal Conservatory exam. So this is the alternative that is widely available. Now, I personally have never put a student through the ABRSM just because I put all my students through the RCM here in Canada, but I know enough about the system to kind of work my way through it and help you out with the details. Level 1 or grade 1 in both the ABRSM and the RCM are super similar. So I have the syllabus linked below for ABRSM grade 1 if you want to check it out. The technical requirements are almost identical. You have to do 2 octave scales, hand separate, and a few major and minor keys. There's some triads, just like a couple other random things. So yeah, check out the syllabus for all the details, like how fast you got to play them and that kind of thing. The ABRSM sight reading segment is actually more difficult than the RCM, I think, because in the RCM, you only really need to be able to read in a couple keys, whereas for this, you need to be able to read a fragment in either the key of C major, F major, or G major, as well as A minor and D minor. So you just need to have like a more diverse understanding of key signatures for level 1 sight reading here. And as far as the ear exams go, you need to be able to do, it's a little bit different. So they'll play a melodic fragment on the piano, and you need to sing back what you hear. So you don't need to be like a great singer or anything, but having a sense of like pitch is pretty important. Aside from that, the rest of the ear test is actually quite simple. You just need to be able to tell the difference between staccato and legato, as well as forte and piano, which most, even elementary level students can do fairly easily. Unlike the RCM at this level, you don't need to know intervals. So you don't need to listen to something and be like, ah, that's a second, that's a third, which makes it, the ear portion of this test a little bit easier, I think. The biggest difference between the RCM and the ABRSM is in the repertoire. So while with the Royal Conservatory, every grade you have like 100 plus options of song selection, with the ABRSM you only get 6 pieces to choose between for every level. So like the RCM, there's a list A, list B, and list C piece that you can choose, but there's only 6 choices in each of those categories, and there's no option for playing a pop song, and there's also no study requirement. So for your exam, you only need to be able to do 3 pieces. So there's pros and cons to having the reduced song selection. So a pro of it is that it just makes it easier to choose what you're doing. 100 choices can be really overwhelming sometimes, but obviously like it lacks variety. So it might be a little harder to find pieces that you really truly love. But with the ABRSM, they recycle the material every couple years. So the syllabus is constantly changing and being updated. So with the RCM, they update it every 8 years, which is a lot longer. So it updates more frequently. So that's a plus, I think. But the system of having 6 song choices per category is actually like pretty neat and tidy. And for the official ABRSM publications that you can buy, they include 3 pieces from each category. So that's kind of awesome. So I just want to talk about the 3 different categories for a second here. So the List A category is all Baroque and classical pieces by composers you've probably heard of already. Like, I think there's like Neef and Haydn and Mozart and Clementi and some of those guys. The List B categories is pieces in the Romantic and late classical eras. And some of them are kind of similar to the RCM Studies collection by guys like Gedijk and Gerlit and some of those other composers that you may or may not have heard of. The List C category is where you get like some of those newer, more exciting pieces with titles like House on the Hill, or what was the other one? Calypso Joe. They just kind of like have those catchy titles, and they're written in like different, like more modern styles. Like even pop and jazz can be seen in the List C category. So these are all expressive pieces that are focused on developing your interpretation skills and your ability to express a theme musically with like dynamics and tempo changes and stuff like that. And that really is all there is to it. So like I mentioned earlier, I'll link the syllabus below so you can check it out. But it really is quite a bit simpler than the RCM system in that it's just so much simpler. And there's so many more limited options. So instead of like, 10 pages all about grade 1, there's only like 2 pages or something like that in the syllabus. So nice and simple. So if you want to do an ABRSM exam, that is great. That's awesome. Good for you. But I am a firm believer in like mixing and matching. So you can learn the ABRSM pieces for the exam. That's awesome. But I would also suggest checking out the RCM syllabus too, because it'll just give you more pieces to draw from that are going to be at your level. So you're not just limited to like 6 per section. That's what I would do anyway, because I'm a big fan of variety. Even if you're not going to do those songs for an exam, it's still kind of fun to learn. So just a final note too. I think I've said that like 3 times. Final note for real now. With the RCM, it goes up to grade 10, actually past that, but like for all intents and purposes up to grade 10, whereas the ABRSM only goes up to grade 8. So they do start in a similar place, but as they both start progressing forward, they start to diverge a little bit more, with, level 8 ABRSM obviously being more equivalent to grade 10 Royal Conservatory. So yeah, I just wanted to say grade 1 for both is really, really similar, but after that it kind of starts to branch out a little bit more. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and as always, send me questions or comments and I'll try to incorporate them in a video. Thank you, toodaloo. Can you hear that? I hope that's picking up. I really do. Thanks, kitten.